Hello, my name is Inés, and today we're going to talk about 5 things you should avoid when using hand gestures in your oral presentations. Let me first outline the 2 main goals of this polymedia video. To begin with, I'd like to provide tips of 5 things you should avoid when using hand gestures in oral presentations, and then I'd like to outline the factors that define correct and incorrect hand gesture use. So let us have a look at the content of this presentation. First, I'll make an introduction about gestures, and then I'll provide 5 tips. Do not gesture excessively, do not mismatch your gestures with your audience, do not misplace your hands, do not block your face, and do not contradict your speech with your gestures, to finish up with some conclusions. So, why are gestures helpful in an oral presentation? Think about it. Do you ever use gestures when you present? And if you do, which gestures did you use last time you presented? Gestures can help you captivate the audience by getting their attention. We move things and we like to look at moving things. Gestures also help you narrate your text and illustrate your points by providing support, visual support to what you want to say. And finally, gestures also help you structure your speech and link the ideas that you include in any presentation. Let me give you my first tip. Do not gesture excessively. Gestures are there to support your speech by reinforcing the content and structure of your text. And gestures should not be a distraction, but on the other hand, they should be, on the contrary, a point of focus. So instead of saying, hello, my name is Inés, and I'm going to tell you 5 tips, you say, my name is Inés, and I'm going to give you 5 tips. So please avoid gesturing in a way that the audience loses track of the message and gets distracted by your hand movements. For example, if you're talking about 5 tips and you start saying on the one hand, on the other hand, while you're explaining the 5 tips, your audience will think it's an excessive amount of gestures and will get lost. Number 2, do not mismatch your gestures with your audience. Bear in mind, every audience requires a specific set of gestures. Children require some specific gestures, different from those of foreigners who maybe do not have full command of the language, from adults, from elderly people. Please think of their needs and use your gestures in a way that they help communicate your message effectively. In order to do that, you can analyze who your audience is. How old are they? Are they academics? Are they teenagers? Are they introverted? Are they extroverted? Do they have any neurodiversity needs? Please also analyze your audience's communicative needs. Are they attentive people? Are they in focus or out of focus? Are they distracted or not distracted? What do they do for a living? And then adjust the type and size of gestures of to your audience accordingly. So if your audience is far away, you'll need bigger gestures, and if your audience is closer, you'll need smaller gestures, and so on. Number 3, do not misplace your hands. It's very easy to fall into the trap of not putting your hands where they should be. Your hands should be visible at all times in order to support your speech. A speech where you cannot see people's hands is strange because something's missing, because our hands are visible in daily life most of the time. So please avoid standing with your hands in penalty position, both this and this. Avoid crossing your arms and avoid intertwining, fidgeting with your fingers. This is very distracting. Tip number 4, do not block your face. I know this seems obvious, but together with our hands, our face is what conveys the largest amount of information. So if you block your face, especially your mouth or eyes, a big percentage of your message will be lost. So please keep your hands at waist level unless the content gestures require otherwise. Tip number 5, the last tip, do not contradict your speech with your gestures. Speech and gestures should go hand in hand and complement each other because they are aimed at creating one single, communicatively effective message. In this way, please avoid creating contradictions with your gestures by distracting the audience from the content of the text. if you're talking about the sea, do not make gestures that do not go with the image we have of the sea, for instance. So, conclusion. Hand gestures require some planning and awareness in their use. Besides knowing what we should do to use gestures effectively, we should also know what are the things we should avoid. And here we have provided 5 tips of things to avoid when using hand gestures in our presentations. Thank you.